Hey, Facebook family. I am on day 20 of a 21-day immersion that I've been involved in, which is all about freeing our voice. There's actually two things that I've been immersed in side by side. One of them is about being soul expressed, speaking our truth, showing up every day, rain, hail, or shine, whether you're feeling up or down, and just being yourself, right? And the topic of this video, hey Carolyn, the topic of this video is the power of reflection, right? The power of speaking up, speaking your truth, being seen, and the synergistic magic that happens when, oh shit, hang on. I'm just going to start again. I just realized you probably could barely hear me because my microphone was on the floor. Okay, I'll start again. The power in conscious mirrors reflecting back what they see in us, right? So humans are relational beings, and the way that we learn and grow is through relationship. This is with ourselves, with our environment, with other people, and other people are quite powerful in the way that we learn about the world and the way that we view ourselves. So the messages that we receive from others, particularly if we're feeling vulnerable, and especially if we're young, when we receive messages from others, that helps to define who we are, helps to define our own identity. Hey, everyone who's joining, thanks for popping in live. So in this process for me lately of sharing my truth and being seen, there's a really powerful thing that happens when other people reflect back what they see in me, right? So sometimes a part of this journey is to get clarity about, okay, what is it that, what is the specific, unique magic that I bring to the collective? Because we all have something that we bring. We all have, every single person, you've been on your own unique journey, your own unique story, and have learned the specific things that you've learned from your experiences and come with innate gifts and skills and your innate genius that you bring to the planet. And by genius, I mean it's like the unique gifts that you bring that are so innately natural to you that you might not even know what they are, right? Because it's like a fish being in water. You don't even know what water is, right? So when you can share, hey B, great to see you. When you can share deeply, authentically, courageously, and then other people are consciously witnessing, then other people can actually reflect back to you. And this is what's been happening in this process. Other people are reflecting back to me what they see in me that I don't even see in myself. And this helps me understand and integrate what I'm actually bringing. Now, on the flip side, the opposite thing can happen as well. So depending on who you have around you, and this is particularly vital in a parenting child relationship. So for a child or someone in a vulnerable position, you're so vulnerable to the messages that you receive from other people around you. It helps to define who you are, right? So especially when you're little, other people's voices start to become your own inner voice. And we're immersed in a culture that is very controlling and critical and dominating, right? There's a lot of power stuff going on, like dysfunctional power stuff going on in culture. And so we internalize that dynamic, and we internalize the messages around not being good enough, or whatever the messages are that are so pervasive. Like we're saturated in very unhealthy messages that will constantly feed back to us that we're not good enough. And I focus on women's issues because this is because I'm a woman, right? I have a direct experience of being woman, plus I work with women, and women are constantly bombarded with messages of not being enough. And this starts to become our own inner voice. And so as a parent, or even as a friend or a lover, we have so much influence in how the other person perceives themselves, in what we choose to see and what we choose to reflect. So same in any coaching relationship, mentoring relationship, any kind of human relationship. It is so vital to have discernment, to be spending time with people who you value their input, and they're actually conscious enough to that you can trust that their perception is fairly accurate and supportive, right? And or if you're around people who you kind of know that they're probably may not be supportive, you need to have super clear boundaries about what you let in, right? And so what has been reflected back to me, it's so fascinating because this is so rich. Like, I love this level of conversation. It's like consciousness understanding itself. So what has been reflected back to me, what other people see in me through this challenge, and I've been speaking my truth and sharing what's alive for me and sharing what I love, is that one of the things that I do is that I'm a sacred mirror. I've done enough, I've done a fucking shitload. We're always growing, right? But I've done a shitload of clearing, healing, integrating, embracing all of the elements of myself, like the dark and the light. And so that I can be present, deeply present with whatever is arising in someone, and stay in my heart and be a clear reflection for what I see. And because I can innately tune in to the beauty inside someone and also feel the pain and, acknowledge, have compassion and empathy, then I can have a clear reflection about what I see, and also what's unsaid. I can have a sense of what's unsaid and bring that up so that you can shine the light in those hidden corners. Because the way I see it, we're here to become conscious. We're here to become aware. We're here to understand what we don't understand. And, humanity is going through this massive purge, this massive healing at the moment, and the earth as well. Like everything, there's such an evolutionary expansion happening at the moment where we are being called into deep alignment, right? And so our energetic alignment, and like the harmonious, like frequency alignment, as the frequencies raise on the planet, it's like shaking up everything to asking us to come into alignment, right? So anything that's out of alignment with harmony, with love, with truth, with the earth, with growth, anything that's out of alignment with that is showing up. And so this includes any dark areas that we've neglected or ignored or suppressed. It's all coming up. And you see it also in the media, right? All the corruption being revealed. And so when you're when you're relating with someone, whether it's a friend, lover, anyone, we are in an evolutionary process with each other through communication, right? And we can reflect back to each other things that help each other grow. So you're feeding back what you see in someone that's positive and supportive, and while also being truthful, while also having the courage to name things that may be uncomfortable to name, and that what you're seeing, if it's coming from a place of the intention is to shine light on what's not being understood yet, right? Hopefully that makes sense. But it's this exploration of how vital it is to be around people who you can trust will mirror back to you supportive feedback, right? And it can be, it doesn't need to be like, it's not like bypassing things if there's conflict is also the courage to actually sit in discomfort and be with that, and without taking it personally, without turning it into a big drama, but actually just naming it and saying, I'm sensing this sounds, this sounds a bit edgy at the moment. Let's sit with that and let's slow down so that we can actually listen to what's unsaid and explore that edge, because that edge is also the gateway to liberation. And that's the way I see it. Like, I'm kind of like an edge seeker. It's like I'll notice the edge and then it's like, wow, let's see what's there. Because if we're expanding and growing and integrating, the edges are those parts where we can grow into, right? And so essentially the message of this video that I'm sharing now is, be aware of the feedback that you're receiving from people around you. Does it feel supportive? Does it feel like it's a clear reflection, a conscious reflection, helping you understand yourself more? Because what happens when basically a lot of people are operating, I mean, we all are to some extent operating within our conditioned reality. So the more we can release old beliefs and limited programming, and also release our own, or integrate our own dark and light, the more we can come to more wholeness and clarity, we can be more present to another, right? And also on the flip side of that, if we're walking around with a very distorted lens and feeling, consumed with a lot of pain, and there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just like being honest with yourself about where you're at and seeking support if you need it, that is the feedback that you are sharing with someone, is that actually supportive for them? Hey, Holly says 100%. And so, and this is what I fucking love, right? Exploring, okay, how aligned are you with the deepest truth of what's arising right now? How willing are you to feel those edgy parts that may even feel a bit confronting or a bit confusing, and to, like, how safe do you feel? And the key is that on your own, or on our own, sometimes it's really hard to sink into really uncomfortable places. It could feel like it swallows you up, right? Which is why having conscious community and a safe, trusted friend or person or, mentor that you can actually be 100% authentic with, without fear of being judged or belittled or criticized, and actually invited to share deeply your truth, so that you can see yourself more clearly and have that clear reflection. This is what has become clear. This is what I fucking do. This is actually what I do. And I didn't even realize the beauty and power of that, because it's so innately natural to me that I'm doing it all the time. and you can see, like, Brett and I have a relationship where we are, whenever there's edges, we'll sit with that and we'll make time to explore that and explore more about ourselves and more about each other. And it's really beautiful. And this is the gift that I bring to the planet, the gift of safety, to be raw and vulnerable and show up in those edgy realms, knowing that actually that's part of the liberation, is actually to see what's there, right? Because if you don't see it, and then it's unconscious, and then it's unconsciously driving stuff from, the shadows. So I love shining light on the shadows and bringing that into awareness. So it's, acknowledging the influence and the power that we have with each other to actually shine the light and bring more understanding and awareness and wholeness, or to reflect back distortion or manipulative stuff, and this has been highlighted to me recently in a friendship, a long-term friendship, where there's someone that I know and they are in a lot of pain, and rather than actually sitting in that in their own experience, that it was thrown in my direction and projected at me and saying, blaming me for a bunch of stuff. And I recognized that it wasn't actually, I reflected on myself and thought, okay, I'll sit with that and listen to what's being said, recognize it's actually not actually about me. Sometimes when someone's in a lot of pain, it's more of a reflection of what's happening for them. And so then in that case, I could acknowledge, I'm hearing there's a lot of pain and there's, a lot of sadness and anger, and listen to that and allow space for that. And then if that still keeps coming back, recognizing that I need to have sacred boundaries about what I let in. And this takes me back to relationships. And I've been in abusive relationships before, which is such a head fuck, because there's someone that you're opening your heart to, and yet the feedback is critical. So that's why it becomes such a vicious cycle. And why it's so, we have a sacred responsibility to each other to show up and be as consciously clear as we can with each other in relating in any form, whether it's parenting, friendship, relationships, any working, coaching, mentoring relationships. The way I see it, and the vision that I have, is for us to show up fully, authentically, and be able to listen clearly and respond and give feedback to each other in a way that is shining the light. It's acknowledging that at our essence, every single human is divine, right? And so when someone's in pain, or there's some distortion, or there's something else going on, then that's an indicator that that person is out of alignment with their essence in some way, right? So it's providing safety to be able to share openly and give feedback that is actually supporting that person to understand themselves more. So that's kind of like a long way of explaining what I do. I realize I know what I want to do when I grow up. I'm having that reflection reflected back to me. I step into conscious co-creation with people, conscious connection, with space to be fully seen and heard and expressed, and be that conscious mirror to reflect back what I see and what I feel, and keep that alive. So it's like this synergistic process that happens when there's that level of presence, right? And and that's my vision, is that humans can be present with each other, that we can actually be present enough. We can clear our own stuff and integrate our own stuff, which actually means conscious community, which means reaching out for support if we need it, because we can't do all this stuff on our own. As much as that's the paradigm that we've been immersed in, it says you need to be fully self-contained, self-sufficient, capable, do it all on your own, and like it's like a weakness if you need to reach out for help. But the way I see it, it's actually courageous. It's strong to reach out for help. It's a sign that you know that there is more to be felt and experienced and integrated and aligned, right? So that we can become integrated as whole beings, dark and light, and step into safe places where we are free to express ourselves, speak our truth, and then this synergistic, co-creative energy like emerges. And this is the place where the solutions to what's needed on the planet come from. They come from a place from us being free to allow our creativity to flourish, allow ourselves to just step into co-creative conversations and be with people who respect and reflect back what they're hearing. So it becomes a growth experience rather than the opposite, if we're in a space where there's a lot of conflict, and then people are saying, well, explain yourself, and asking for people to justify everything, and criticizing things, that just shuts down evolution. It puts us in contraction and like pulling back, right? So the space that I am here to contribute to is the opposite of that, and it's the expansion and it's the growth. So yeah, just being mindful about the feedback that you're offering people. Is it in support of growth and expansion, or is it critical and, contracting and limiting growth? And this is in any relationship. And yeah, just being mindful of who you surround yourself with as well, who you connect with, and seeing, is that person helping me understand myself more? Are we expanding together? Are we growing together? Because these are the kind of synergistic relationships that are needed on the planet. So thank you for tuning in to my live. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for watching the replay. If you want to continue this conversation with me, contact me directly, because this is the space that I facilitate. And if you're not in my group yet, come and join the Blossoming Woman Collective. It is a women's space. So we have conscious conversations in there, and like the vision of the collective uprising is just beautiful. It's emerging and evolving. So, and the Divine Mother Temple is about to reopen at some point soon. So if you're feeling a little edge of excitement and curiosity about that, stay connected, because that is a container for evolution as well. Thank you, Kat. Thanks for joining me. And thanks all who are watching. Know that you have so much influence and power to benefit the collective. And we all do, connecting in with the truth of who you are, speaking your voice, sharing your message, being heard, being seen, allowing that process. Like, evolution happens through conversation as well, right? And also connecting with the earth, with each other, reaching out and connecting with who you feel drawn to connect with. So I'm going to wrap up. Thank you for watching, and I'll be back.